This one beat was so powerful, it secretly controls all of music. A forgotten studio session birthed a monster, a rhythm so addictive, it's been stolen over 1,000 times. Kanye, Jay-Z, even Bob Marley bowed to it. But the real story? They tried to bury it. You've heard this everywhere. Now find out why it was never supposed to exist. Watch before it's gone. Winston Riley was no ordinary man. He was the kind of visionary that didn't just contribute to reggae, he redefined its DNA. When he parted ways with the vocal group The Techniques in 1968, there was no mourning, no silence. Instead, there was ignition. With a hunger that could not be extinguished, he founded Techniques Records, and from that modest venture began a journey that would come to shape the sonic blueprint of reggae music forever. Riley, like a silent architect, constructed pathways not just for music, but for revolution, healing, rebellion, and identity. And among all the treasures his genius helped uncover, none shimmered quite like the immortal Stalag 17 rhythm, the beat that would become the spinal cord of dancehall, the sacred ground upon which thousands would stand, toast, and testify. The story of this rhythm doesn't start with charts or headlines. It begins in a Kingston studio, under the warm hum of analog equipment and the intuitive chemistry of unsung legends. Harry J's studio was a canvas. The Soul Syndicate Band were the brushstrokes. It was Carlton Santa Davis on the drums, his sticks precise, prophetic. It was George Fully Fullwood, whose bass didn't just play notes, it excavated ancestral memories. It was Tony Chinn's guitar whispering stories into the ether. But at the center of this holy ritual was Ansel Collins, the genius keyboardist whose hands turned electricity into enchantment. On that day in 1973, as the Soul Syndicate rehearsed and explored ideas, something sacred emerged. Inspired by Buster Riley, Winston's brother, and his obsession with the 1953 war film Stalag 17, the musician sculpted an instrumental so potent that time itself would freeze around it. There was no fanfare at first. Winston Riley wasn't even present at the time of recording. Yet when he walked into that studio and heard the haunting organ, the molasses-thick bass line, and the militaristic snare rolling like thunder in a tropical storm, he knew. He knew that what he had stumbled upon was not a song. It was a prophecy. When released, the track didn't break records, but it broke barriers. It seeped into sound systems like Smoke, Whisper it's called selectors, and DJs across Kingston. It was not a hit in the traditional sense. It was a haunting. Stalag 17 wasn't a trend. It was an atmosphere. And soon, it would become an empire. The first notable artist to seize the power of this rhythm was a gravel-voiced Big Youth. With the 1974 track, Every Nigger is a Star, he laid the foundation for what would become an avalanche. His toasting wasn't just lyrical, it was political. Through the haze of herb smoke and the flicker of street lamps, Big Youth's voice danced across the Stalag 17 rhythm like a prophet in flames. But that was only the beginning. As the 1970s waned and the fires of dancehall began to roar, a multitude of artists came forward, each adding their testimony to the gospel of Stalag. By the late 70s, Winston Riley had weaponized the rhythm. He used it as a secret ingredient behind General Echo's smash hit Arlene in 1979, a song that transformed dance floors into sanctuaries and helped codify the risque, boastful swagger of early dancehall culture. Echo, with his raw charisma and street poet delivery, became the rhythm's next chosen vessel. The hit proved that Stalag 17 wasn't a relic. It was reborn and reborn again, each time sharper and more defiant. Then came 1982. The air shifted. In walked Sister Nancy, a woman, a revolutionary, a voice that cracked the glass ceiling with a laugh and a snarl. Her iconic track Bam Bam, built on the back of Stalag 17, was more than a song. It was an anthem, a declaration, a hunt in the heart of patriarchy. Nancy's voice wasn't polished. It wasn't perfect. It was real. It was Rastafarian thunder in female form. Though the track initially stirred only mild waves in Jamaica, it detonated in the U.S. clubs, particularly in New York, where Africa Bambaataa, the godfather of hip-hop, spun it in a Bronx nightclub and changed everything. Suddenly, Stalag 17 was not just reggae history. It was hip-hop heritage. The rhythm's next great chapter was written by Tenor Saul. With Ring the Alarm in 1985, he delivered what many believe is the greatest sound clash track of all time. Born spontaneously in the chaos of a live musical battle, Tenor Saw's energy turned Stalag into a living entity. It became a war cry, a crown, a curse. The rhythm, by then over a decade old, sounded fresher than ever. Its heartbeat now the pulse of defiance, dance, and destiny. Tenor Saw didn't just perform over Stalag. He baptized it in the fire of the street. In the years that followed, Stalag 17 would appear like a spirit on tracks by nearly every heavyweight in the reggae and dancehall pantheon. From the silken voice of Coco T to the razor-sharp lyricism of Bounty K. From the street sermons of Buju Banton to the gruff prophecies of Barrington Levy. It was sampled, flipped, looped, and toasted upon by hundreds. But even those numbers feel like an underestimation. Some say 400 tracks. Others whisper that it's closer to 1,000. The truth is, no one really knows. Because Stalag 17 isn't just music, it's mythology. It's the invisible scaffolding of reggae's second wave and dancehall's rise. But where there is greatness, there is always dispute. The rhythm's creation, long attributed to Winston, Riley, and Ansel Collins, has ignited fierce debate, particularly for within the Soul Syndicate family. Carlton Santa Davis has never minced words. Yes, he praised Ansel Collins for his exquisite organ play, but Davis refuses to let the contributions of the band vanish into the fog of history. According to him, the rhythm was forged in the soul of the collective, a fusion of minds, fingers, and intuition. George Fullwood's bass wasn't just a line, it was a landmark. Davis's drums weren't just rhythm, they were ritual, and he insists that the world must remember that. The beauty of Stalag 17 is that it transcends its origins. Its vibrations move beyond reggae, infiltrating hip-hop with ferocity and elegance. Public Enemy used it like a blade. Kanye West bent it into modern melancholy. Jay-Z, Alicia Keys, and Too Short all borrow from it, each time reshaping its bones to suit new battles, new declarations. It is rare that a rhythm born in a modest Jamaican studio can span decades and genres without losing its essence. But Stalag 17 is not ordinary. It was never meant to be. What makes it immortal is not just its sound. It's the timing, the context, the culture. The rhythm exploded just as Jamaica was grappling with political unrest, identity crises, and a sonic evolution. Dub was emerging. Dancehall was taking root. Roots reggae was becoming religion. And right at that tectonic intersection stood Stalag 17, a beat that could hold the past, present, and future within its 4-bar loop. Even Bob Marley, the high priest of reggae himself, recognized its power. At several of his live shows, the Stalag 17 rhythm was used to open the night, not with vocals, just the beat, because the beat alone was enough to summon the ancestors, thrill the audience, and prepare the stage for revolution. That wasn't just musical strategy, it was spiritual warfare. There's a reason the beat still moves bodies today. It is more than nostalgia, it is resurrection. In a digital age where music is made by algorithms and data streams, Stalag 17 remains analog thunder, a reminder of what music can be when it is born from sweat, sacrifice, and soul. It reminds us that rhythm can be a map, that bass lines can carry memory. But even in his absence, the beat lives on. In 2014, Sister Nancy's Bam Bam resurfaced yet again when Kanye West and Rihanna sampled it for the track Famous. The fire had never gone out. It had only waited for more gasoline. In 2022, TikTok made Bam Bam a viral phenomenon among Gen Z users who hadn't been born when the track first hit airwaves. Each era finds its own way back to Stalag, like pilgrims returning to a sacred well. The rhythm's name might invoke a war movie, but what it created was peace, a kind of communal heartbeat that unified generations across oceans. It is a cathedral of dancehall, the Rosetta Stone of reggae, the uncredited co-writer on thousands of tracks. Whether heard from the speakers of a Brooklyn block party or inside a small shop in Kingston, its energy is undiminished. So when the conversation arises, what is the greatest reggae instrumental ever created? The answer is not a question. It is a rhythm. It is a name. It is a prophecy. Stalag 17. And it is still ringing the alarm. Now it's your turn. What does Stalag 17 mean to you? Do you remember the first time you heard Bam Bam or Ring the Alarm? Which artist rode the rhythm best in your opinion? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more untold stories that shape music, culture, and everything in between.